Okay, hello my friends, my name is Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to help you understand what's going on in the war in Ukraine. Yes, I am a real professor, and yes, I'm wearing this stupid outfit because today is our graduation day for our graduate programs. Tomorrow's undergrad, but tonight's graduate program graduation. Okay, four big stories for today. Yesterday, I talked about how Macron was talking about potentially committing troops to Ukraine under two conditions. So the first condition is that Russia is making significant gains, breaking the lines, and the second condition is Zelensky asks. Now, he didn't say that he would, but there's enough strategic ambiguity there that it should be making Putin nervous. Now, Putin should be nervous. It shouldn't be Putin making the West nervous. It should be the West making Putin nervous. And the strategic ambiguity is that we don't know what he will do. Will he do this or won't he do this? It's not just off the table. Of course, Pravda was reacting to that. Emmanuel Macron starts thinking of himself as little Napoleon. Well, okay, there's more to that story today. So here's in the Kyiv Post, you see Dmitry Peskov talking about how the statement is very important and very dangerous. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told reporters on Friday, Macron continues to constantly talk about the possibility of direct involvement on the ground in the conflict around Ukraine. This is a very dangerous trend, he added. Of course, he doesn't seem to be bothered by the idea of Putin talking about nuking the West, regularly warning that Russia's ready to use nuclear weapons if it's threatened. But this is dangerous for France to be doing that. A little bit more, Peskov also said that remarks by British Foreign Secretary David Cameron that justified Kyiv striking targets inside Russia were dangerous and escalatory. Well, what was he talking about there? Okay, so he was talking about this. David Cameron visited. He pledged the £3 million annually that comes from the Prime Minister. Let's just read a couple of paragraphs. UK Foreign Secretary Lord Cameron has said that it's up to Ukraine to decide how to use British weapons and insisted it has the right to strike targets on Russian territory. So that's a pretty significant step. And it's a significant step because once the dam breaks, once the UK says it and France says it and somebody else says it, it'll be pretty easy for the US to wade in and say, sure, use our weapons too, as a policy change over time. So there's just kind of like a peer pressure to this. Just as Russia is striking inside Ukraine, you can quite understand why Ukraine feels the need to make sure it's defending itself, Lord Cameron said. However, coming on the heels of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's pledge to give Ukraine $3 billion, that's actually $3.76 billion US dollars in military assistance every year for the foreseeable future, it seems Lord Cameron wanted to emphasize that it's up to Ukraine to decide what it does with it. So that's a pretty aggressive step, a positive step, the right direction. Now, as I was thinking about this, I was thinking it's really interesting because you think about the size of the United Kingdom and then you think about the size of Russia and you think that there's some huge overmatch. Let's just compare notes between those two countries. Russia compared to the United Kingdom. Russia is 70 times bigger than the United Kingdom. Now, let's look at population. 66 million in the United Kingdom and 144 million in Russia. And yet, you see, Russia has a GDP of $2.24 trillion and the UK has 3-point-something trillion in GDP. Like, what is Russia doing so wrong that they have twice the population, 70 times the size, and yet their GDP is still significantly smaller than the United Kingdom? And that's just the United Kingdom, not to mention France and Germany and the rest of Europe and Canada and the United States. And like, I don't understand quite what Russia is actually thinking of in thinking that they can outmatch the West. Or is it just bluster? Maybe it's just bluster. Okay, let's go on to the next big story. In the Ukraine war, China is helping tilt the momentum in Russia's favor, top U.S. spy says. Okay, so she's testifying before Congress, and she says this. Well, let me just read a couple paragraphs. China has helped shift the battlefield momentum in Russia's favor in Ukraine by providing it with components and other material necessary to sustain its defense industry, the top U.S. intelligence official told senators on Thursday. Although China has stopped short of delivering lethal weaponry to Russia for its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, it has provided crucial technology and tools for its military machine, she said. China's provision of dual-use components and material to Russia's defense industry is one of several factors that tilted the momentum on the battlefield in Ukraine in Moscow's favor. So what are dual use? What does that mean? Dual use refers to items that can be used for civilian or military purpose. And it's hard to constrict that, because now you're going to be messing with the economies and the businesses that create these things, and it could be innocuous or it could be pretty detrimental. But we're aware of that. China has been significantly sanctioned. Well, a number of organizations within China has been significantly sanctioned, and it's really a shot over the bow. But China doesn't really want to get involved. They just want to keep trading with their partners. As for China, they are likely to limit the level of economic retaliation that they engage in. In particular, the significant decline in foreign direct investment in China, down 77.5% in 2023. That is significant. That's crazy significant. Is likely to prompt the PRC to become more measured in the responses absent an unexpected escalation by the United States, rather than engaging in direct economic retaliation that might result in such negative domestic economic consequences. So China doesn't want to get involved as much as they want to trade. They just want business to be business. Okay, looking at the situation in Georgia, the Georgian Prime Minister has canceled a visit to the United States because of a request from Washington to suspend consideration of the Foreign Agents Bill. That Foreign Agents Bill is causing this kind of thing to happen. This is the protest against the Foreign Agents Bill. They don't want it. It's moving them away from being able to be part of the European Union. They know it. The people in charge pushing the Foreign Agents Bill forward know that they are pushing them into the arms of Russia and away from the European Union. The people on the ground know it, and that's why they're protesting. And this is why you saw something like this. The Opera House in the Georgian capital of Tbilisi spontaneously erupts in a round of Russophobia. Well, okay, I know, I'm not sure that I would call it Russophobia. They don't like Russia, but it's not necessarily afraid of Russia. It's more, we just don't want Russia. Everyone there wants Russia out. And it's because they're doing the kinds of things that they're doing in Georgia, as they've done to Georgia, in Ukraine, as they're doing to Ukraine, and Georgia doesn't want any part of becoming part of that orbit, or what they're doing in Moldova. Okay, so last story. Twitter is just full of MUGA memes. Like, here's MAGA, here's MUGA. Ooh, MUGA, that's much better, right? And it's become something that's taken on a life of its own. There's MUGA merchandise by St. Javelin, or Ukraine Matters, or NAFO is selling. I mean, it's just become something that's taken on a life of its own. And Marjorie Taylor Greene never thought that that was what she was doing when she was trying to rebuke the speaker of her party by creating "Make Ukraine Great Again." But I think it's awesome that it's taken off. Okay, at any rate, thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the shares. Thank you to my patrons, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.